Hello listeners, welcome back to yet another episode of our podcast series Vision Next. When your executive committee started this new term, right? A term encompassing networking, enrichment and welfare. Today we are here and delving into a story of vision and commitment of an institute and an organization right here in Bahrain. We are honored to have with us Mrs. Smitha Jensen, who is the president of Indian Ladies Association. We are here to talk about what ILA does and what exactly do they do with one of their very unique projects on SNHA, the SNHA Kids. Welcome, Smitha.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
I want to take a moment to thank ICAI Bahrain chapter, Mr. Vivek Gupta, your chairman of your board, and yourself, Mr. Ankush, for having me on this podcast. It's an honor, and I'm truly humbled to be here today with you.
Pleasure is all ours, Smitha. And as we dive in, first, can we know a little bit more about Smitha? Your background, your educational qualifications, and probably the reason why you got associated with ILA.
Okay, so I'm Smitha Jensen. I was born and raised in Dubai. However, I've been living in Bahrain for the last 21 years. I live here with my family. My husband is a banker. He's a senior banker in Bahrain. I was also a banker. I worked with BNP Paribas and Societe Generale in private banking for over a decade.
Oh, wow.
And then I thought I'd quit and get into something I love the most. I love being creative. I'm an architect by qualification.
Oh.
Now, don't ask me why an architect and how into banking. That's for another day. And so I started my own interior design company and a gifting company. It's called All Good Things.
Okay.
I'm a mother of 4 children. I have 2 boys and 2 girls. Both my boys are in medical school. They're studying medicine in CMC, India.
Oh, wow.
One is in 3rd year and one is in 2nd year. Then I have 2 girls aged 15 and 13. They're studying in the Sacred Heart School currently.
Oh, wow. I think so. Your family has covered all the domains, medicine to banking to, now entrepreneurship, I believe. So, Smitha, ILA, what does ILA actually do? What are the core objectives and the routines of ILA?
Before I get into that, you had asked me how I got associated with ILA.
Yes.
So I'll just answer that. Actually, I would give credit to my friend, the president 2 years ago, Ms. Sharada Ajit. She's a very close friend of mine. She's the one who told me, Smitha, you need to join in the ILA. Me being a Malayali from Kerala, there are so many associations and clubs here, but I'm not associated with any of them for the last 21 years. So I was a little apprehensive about this, but when I heard and learnt about the activities in SNHA, I was totally intrigued by it and signed on immediately. So all credit to Sharada Ajit for bringing me on. I'm thankful to her.
Yeah. So you said SNHA, and in our community, I think so this is something which is an initiative. The community knows about it, but I think so there's still a lot which we as people don't know. So what exactly does SNHA do?
Before I get into SNHA, I will talk a little bit about the ILA.
Okay.
The Indian Ladies Association started in 1956 by a group of dedicated women who were into charitable works, and the late Miss Leela Jashanmal is our founding member. And since then, ILA has been a cornerstone of community service, embodying the principle of service before self. So ILA has a lot of subcommittees under it. We do a lot of labor welfare events on month on, and we do a lot of community outreach programs. And of course, SNHA is our flagship project that we hold very close to our hearts. And we at ILA hold very strong bonds and ties with the Bahrain government, the Bahrain authorities, and the Bahraini communities, which solidify ILA's position as a vital force to bring positive change in this kingdom. And now talking about SNHA. SNHA, was a project again started by 5 women in the Indian Ladies Association. I'm not too sure of the names because it started 34 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And at that time I was a little girl myself. So
Yeah.
what I share with you today are conversations and memories that my past, our senior members have shared with me. So
Yeah.
I can share that with you.
Right.
So I understand and I gather that this was started by 5 women. And I'll tell you the name of one woman in particular, Yasmin Gojra, I think. Her child was a child of special needs.
Okay.
And she was looking for resources in the country to sort of integrate her son into the society, but she didn't find any. But even at that time, I remember them telling me that we had the mothers and children welfare society here, but that catered only to the Bahraini community, and we had nothing for the expat community. So that's when ILA stepped in, and all these women had a chat and said, see, let's start something for the expat communities when it comes to special needs children. So that's how it started.
No, definitely, I think so. There was a need. There was a gap, I believe, the predecessors actually, wanted to fill. And I must commend what SNHA does. And, you briefly touched upon, the needs of the expatriate community. So what kind of activities, in terms of SNHA, how does a day look like at SNHA?
See, at ILA SNHA, we believe we need to give our children the most nurturing environment, an environment to learn, grow and express themselves. The schedule for a day is designed thoughtfully and carefully to integrate life skills along with fun by the coordinators of SNHA, obviously under the guidance of our specialized teachers and speech therapists, where they can integrate the life skills and fun through recreational activities.
Okay.
So say for example, they develop their reading skills, learn to make small sentences, they develop their communication skills in order to express their thoughts or what they need to navigate through the entire day. Then they develop their fine motor skills, gross motor skills by doing a lot of writing.
Yeah.
Then I know they do a lot of puzzles to stimulate their critical thinking, and then they do a lot of hand-eye tasks, coordination tasks.
Yeah.
So like painting, diyas, those diyas we actually sell out for Diwali, and we use it as funds for
That's
SNHA.
amazing.
Yeah, that's lovely. And they do a lot of canvas painting, trampolines and yoga, gym ball. And then they also develop their social skills, like how to make friends, how to stand in a queue, how to wait for your turn, how to detect social cues. And then there are pre-vocational skills, like to make them independent people going forward. Simple things like hanging your clothes, brushing, dusting, chopping, maybe a very simple cooking. So these sort of daily routines actually create a safety net for these children. They feel safe and they feel emotionally stable in our SNHA environment.
So in short, you help them blend in into the community, their daily routines.
Yes,
And,
and our volunteers are doing a fantastic job. They are our angels of ILA.
so that's so powerful, I should say. And and so does these activities happen throughout the day from morning to evening, or is there a specific time frame you guys operate?
It's mornings between 9 to 12.
Okay.
And on a daily basis,
On a
Friday,
daily-
Saturday off, just
okay.
like in normal schools.
So I can imagine for the families, it's not the kid alone; it is the family, and getting these services is not a one-time thing. It is something which stays with them. So how much does it really cost the family? Because I can imagine it might be quite financially draining. So what are your thoughts, or can you give us more
I'm
insights?
glad you talked about the family, because the SNHA Recreation Center is not just for the children. It is for the family as a whole, because because even you talk about the mental health of these parents as well. So we have our parent teacher meetings where the parents come in, they do their sharing, they tell them how the children have progressed and how they can do better. Our volunteers actually pump up the spirit of the parents as well. So it's a wholesome sort of giving that our volunteers do at SNHA. And in terms of therapy, I must say that each child, because this few hours in SNHA is not enough, and you know, because you're in that field in AMH, I
Yes,
understand.
absolutely, yeah.
So and you're very closely associated with these children
Yes,
as well.
yeah.
So I know you feel it. So these therapies are very important for the children. Occupational therapy and speech therapy is needed, and they do it externally. So each child needs around 6 to 8 sessions per month, and each session costs minimum of BD 15. So it takes a toll on the parents, because they are not the only child as well. They have other siblings as well.
True.
So it becomes difficult. So we ask the parents to put in half the amount,
Okay.
because it is an external clinic,
Yeah.
and we put in half the amount. But there are some families who cannot do it at all. So either they don't do it and they neglect that and let it be, or they do it and we fund it completely.
Okay.
You know, so these are challenging times as well, because you know, the market, and we're trying to help out these parents as well.
So you mentioned these are the outside clinics, but what about, you know, when those 9 to 12, when you operate, do the parents pay a fee for that?
Actually, I don't know how many of, even though SNHA has been running for 34 years, I don't know how many people know this. We actually charge nothing from the parents for the last 34 years.
Nothing?
It's an NGO, and we run it absolutely free of cost, even though we have huge overheads in ILA to run SNHA.
Oh,
So I'm talking about the teachers, qualified teachers and speech therapists, assistants and helpers, our bus service. All this is absolutely free for the children.
I can feel my goosebumps, and you know, when you said that, you know, I can't even believe it, to be honest. And today's time, you know, providing a service, I think so it's coming from the heart. It will not be,
Absolutely, it has to be.
So, you know, so you mentioned volunteers, and you know, I imagine, you know, volunteers are the backbone of this project.
Absolutely.
So what drives these volunteers to, you know, spend in their precious time, energy, effort? You know, what kind of vibe do they get in SNHA, you know?
I don't know if I'm the right person to ask, because I'm very new to the ILA, but I have asked volunteers this, and they have told me, Smitha, those smiles bring us back. They are unconditional love, they are hugs, and I have experienced it myself, and it can be very addictive. Okay, there's a sense of fulfillment, a renewed sense of gratitude for us as well as people, that you know, we have so much to be thankful for, and we have so much to give. And I just want to make one fact straight, is that even though these are housewives, they're very qualified people, very qualified ladies. Many of them are engineers. We have chartered accountants on board. We have people with masters you know, degrees, but they do it as a giving back to the society sort of thing. And no matter what everybody else is, I think it is divine. It has to come from an above. It has to come from God. Because see, so many of us want to do it, but many of us are not doing it. Why? So it's a calling. It has to be a calling. Otherwise, it just cannot go on. So so I think
you just told my words. You know, it's a calling. I can, you know, I can feel it.
Day on a rotation for years continue, because I have volunteers who've been volunteering for the last 25 to 27 years. So it's just amazing that they do that every morning, day in, day out, for absolutely nothing in return, other than the smiles on those children's faces.
So that is amazing, powerful, and you know, I think so words cannot really, you know, put that into proper context. But yeah, so you know, Smitha, we talked about, you know, resources in terms of, you know, ILA, you know, operates on a different model. Volunteers come in, so I'm sure there would be a hell lot of challenges, you know, which this thing comes with. You know, challenges probably in terms of resources, you know, appropriate, you know, volunteers, and even for volunteers, when I think, you know, these volunteers, you know, it might be taxing on them as well, emotionally draining. So how do you kind of manage that, and you know, what keeps the whole thing, you know, going?
Actually, Ankush, I've never seen a taxed volunteer. I don't see them drained. I see them more energetic day by day. They just love doing what they do. And that's what I said. It has to be a divine calling. Because yes, on a human level, yeah, it can be draining, right? And to do it on a daily basis, not a one-off, right? It's for so many years, but they just do it with so much vigor, and they're all so energetic when they come in the morning until they leave, and they're ready for the next day as well. But the challenge is raising funds for ILA, and that is, I think, year on, and when every president or when every ex-com comes in, that is the challenging part too, is to raise funds for SNHA. It seemed a little easier before the COVID times, but once COVID has hit, markets have changed, and now there's a real market crunch, because I'm trying to raise funds for this year as well. There's a real market crunch. The CSR of every corporate has been crunched down.
Yeah, it's dried up,
Yeah, it's dried up, and they don't have enough to give. They feel bad, but that's just the way it is. So that's the biggest challenge.
So for our listeners, probably the corporates, people who are in corporates who might be listening to this, and who might want to kind of come in, pitch in, what are the different avenues available for them as corporates, or even as individuals, I would say, how do they get in touch, or whom could they contact, and what are the means available?
See, all these years it has been running on corporate donors, individual donors, small sponsors, because every bit makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
And it has. But just going forward, I was just thinking, because of this crunch, and I know the difficulty to get funds, I was just there was one corporate who came on board and told me just a few days ago, Smitha, what we will do is we will give you a BD 300 per month for the next year. And I was thinking, if 5 corporates can do that same thing, because when you give a lump sum, it seems like a big amount for a corporate to to give off at one stretch. But for a large corporate, a small amount of BD 200 or 100 or 300 going forward for the next 1 year, which actually takes off the stress, because we know that SNHA will run then. We don't have to worry about getting these funds on a, going around daily to collect funds, This we know will run for the next 1 year without any problem. So I feel that going forward this year, I think I want to approach or rather request corporates to look at a model of giving CSRs that way.
Well, definitely, I think so. Going to the right audiences, definitely things will look much better as we move forward.
I hope so.
So, jumping to the other side of things, yes, we have the sponsors and donors, but now as, such social projects, community plays a big part. Community has a lot of things to offer. So how do you think the community element of society steps in and supports, or helps you further, amplify the impact?
So what we do is we do fundraisers.
Okay.
See, ILA, like I told you, we also do a lot of cultural events and fundraisers in order to raise money, and that's where community helps us. So we have musical events, and actually on May 31st we are actually doing an event where it's called the Leela Jashanmal lecture, named after our founding member, where we are having Padma Shri awardee Miss Arunima Sinha, the first amputee who climbed the Mount Everest, coming in. So that's going to be a very inspirational talk. And we also have Sheikh Al Shaiba, the para-athlete of Bahrain, sharing the same stage with her. So we have 2 very wonderful motivational speakers with us. And we also have a dinner post that, and that's a ticketed event, the dinner. And that is to raise funds for SNHA. The lecture itself is a free event for our members and, for guests and people who want to register to hear them out. But we sort of approach corporates to buy a few tickets for a ticketed dinner to have a one-on-one with the guest as well, and have a nice meal, and at the same time we also raise funds in SNHA, so it's a win-win for all. So so that way community plays a big role, and I would urge communities to incorporate or include this our special needs children to so many events, because so many communities are doing, I see dance competitions, art competitions, and there are times I think that only if they were also included into those events, so that is a message I want to reach out to other communities as well, to make our children more inclusive, because these are not just ILA children, they are our children in the Indian community.
Absolutely.
Right?
When I would share a personal experience. I was at one of such events, and the slogan which they were using was "I am me, I am me." So that struck the real chords, and that was so emotional, and it was just signaling towards a sense of inclusivity, I think so, as a community which we need to kind of bring in.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think we were towards the end of our conversation in the podcast, and like the theme of the podcast is vision next. What's the vision next for SNHA? What are things which you feel in the coming years you want to do as ILA, and how would that keep this whole noble initiative going on without any disruptions?
First, the sustainability model that I was telling you about, where corporates could come in with smaller amounts on a monthly basis, that will help us sustain for years going forward. So that's part of their CSR. I don't know, okay, we're going to give 100 BD to ILA SNHA for the rest of the year. But if you ask me about the vision of SNHA, a vision that I dream of for our children is when I went to the Down Syndrome Society of Bahrain last month. I saw that many of their children were actually absorbed into the workforce here. The Down syndrome children are working in airports today. They are in NBB banks. They're working in Tamkeen. They're working in departmental stores. In every segment of society, they are there.
Right.
So I was just thinking that's great, and that's a great initiative by the Bahrain government. So I want it for our SNHA children, for the expat community as well. And I realized this because we did an event last month where ICAI was part of it. We had Vineet also come over for it. It was called Inclusivity Matters. We had the Down Syndrome Society, and we had a special needs child actor from Kerala who's actually acting in the new movie with Amir Khan, Sitare Zameen Par, which is going to come out June. So he was our guest.
Okay.
At that event, I had one of the parent during the event. He said, "Ma'am, can I speak to you?" I said, "Can we speak after the event?" He's like, "Ma'am, please." And just seeing the desperation on his face, I took him way behind at the hall, and he said, "Ma'am, I really want to tell you something. My son is around 15, 16 years old, and can you do anything at all for him? Because after 21, there is that visa problem for the boys. No, the boys have to go back."
Absolutely.
So many of these children are sent back after 21 under the care of the parents of these, so under the care of grandparents or the uncles or aunties who don't know really how to take care of these children. So they are deprived of the love, the care, that sense of routine that they had, and they go back and dip down. So the father was telling me, "Ma'am, you have your children, you're giving them education all to stand and be independent. What happens so that when we are not there, our children are independent, they'll lead their life. But what will happen to my child after I'm gone and my wife is also not there? What will happen to that child?" And that haunted me that day, because I went back home with that thought, thinking, yes, what will happen to that child when the father and mother are not there? Will they be orphans back in the society again? So I think I would like to leave you and the listeners with that thought, that these children, we need to do something as a community for these children.
No, I'm sure, Smitha, the change, the difference which you're bringing in life of these kids, and more than that, the families, is profound. And it is our urge to the community, to our listeners, to probably not probably, I should say, come in, pitch in, and be part of this movement where yes, inclusivity is a thing which we're looking forward to. And here I think to come to a close of our discussion. For our listeners, what should I say? I'm short of words. Until next time, keep making a difference, even though it is small. Thank you, and ma salama.
Thank you.